too. And I knew he would. And everyone said, who's going to write the first check? I said, this guy will, and he did. Thank you.
Thanks, Harry. I hope thank you. I hope I used this correctly. If I don't, bear with me. Harry's right. I was the chairman and CEO of Intertopia last year, and I was the chairman and CEO for about 5 years. Robert McAllister has taken over that role and done a very great job of that. I stepped down last July. And we've been looking at this industry since last summer, which is pretty new, but for the public companies in the space, it's actually turning us into kind of an old-timer. So we've been very busy in the last 100 or 120 days. For the two companies, we've raised over $4 million in the bank. Intertopia has over $1 million in the bank today, and we have about $1 million in the bank today. So we've been busy. We've expanded our team. You guys are supposed to read all this disclaimer stuff. And we've got a lot going on. Now, I don't have a lot of time, so I need to go fairly quickly. I'm also available to answer questions. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the broad market because I'm imagining and expecting that you've been hearing that already today. But I will say this: we're publicly traded for 9 years. We're not a newcomer to the public markets, and we've been listed on the Canadian Securities Exchange since 2009, and on the OTCQB since 2005. On April 10, we signed a joint venture with Intertopia for our first facility. That's Intertopia's third facility, but that was LEXARIA's first. It's a large facility. It's 75,000 square feet in southern Ontario. That facility is currently going under things like architectural design, engineering work, HVAC, electrical, plumbing. All of those sorts of things are underway. We have engaged a pharma consulting firm excuse me, from Ottawa. Harry, your conference is too successful in losing my voice. To submit our Health Canada license application on our behalf, and that we expect to see probably next month. We'll file that application, and we're waiting for the municipal comfort letter as well, probably also next month. I should say, look, like virtually everybody in this country, in this space today, we started out doing something else. And what we started out doing was oil and gas. We made an oil discovery in Mississippi in 2005-06, and that property has been in production ever since then. In the last 3 fiscal years, our revenue from that property is about $3.5 million, and we generate anywhere between $40,000 and $50,000, $60,000 a month right now from that property. So we have cash flow, which is different from a lot of companies in this space. I'm the chairman and president, CEO. I've been in the capital markets a long time. Some of you will know back in the 1990s, I used to speak at a lot of financial conferences. I've been a regular business correspondent to CKWX radio station for 12 years. I used to do a business show there. Spoke all over North America. You might remember that. Some of you with gray hair. That's how Harry and I met back in the 90s. Val Bular is my CFO. She's here today. Tons and tons of experience. We have a lot of people who have a lot of experience in this industry. For example, 2 days ago, we haven't had time to put them up on the slides. 2 days ago, we announced the former chief of police for the city of Hamilton, Ontario, has joined us. He is an FBI Quantico graduate. He has a business degree and a 35-year veteran of the police force. He's in charge of our security work at our Ontario facility. So I'm trying to make the point that we are bringing on the people that are required to make this a success. Companies that are coming up, I don't know, I haven't been able to get in a room here yet today, I've been at the booth all day, but companies that come up, if they do, and they say, hey, you know, we've got one facility, it's 10,000 feet, we submitted our application, our fingers are crossed, we hope things are going to go well, they're going to have a problem. because Health Canada has been very stringent, as they should, in the industry and in the business. So I'm not going to get into this too much. You've probably heard, if you don't know already, that there are a number of legitimate and very real health benefits to medical marijuana. That's why we're here. And when you meet the people who require the medical component, which is the CBDs of the marijuana plant, it's quite heartwarming. It's pretty personal when you hear people saying that their lives have been changed by using medicinal marijuana. The market is not very big in Canada. It's probably $120 or $150 million today, but it's growing quickly, and it's growing at a 50 to 60% per annum growth rate, and that, incidentally, is roughly the growth rate of the smartphone industry in the 1990s. So at that rate, in the next 9 years, according to Health Canada, we will go from roughly 40,000 registered users today to 400,000. So that's a tenfold increase in required output of the industry just for medicinal purposes. That ignores oils and edibles, because oils and edibles are illegal in Canada under the new MMPR legislation. But people who grow know that if you're using oils and edibles, you need 3 to 4 times more of the plant in order to treat your condition. So if legislation, and you as investors should be asking yourselves these sort of questions as you're looking at companies that are possibilities for you, if you're saying to yourself, is there going to be enough of a market there? You need to understand that if Health Canada changes the legislation in a year or 2 or 3 and allows oils and edibles, you're going to need 3 or 4 times more production than you have today. It's big. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay. Thanks, Mary. Okay. 2 metrics I'll give you that you should be able to write on the back of your envelope. And I'm not using this as a projection for my company. I'm saying that these are industry numbers that you should be able to rely on for back of the envelope figuring. A square foot, 1 square foot of production space should generate roughly $1,000 per year in gross revenue for a medical marijuana grower. And if the grower knows what he's doing, he should be able to have about a 30% profit margin, plus or minus 5 points. I've heard some people say they have an 80% profit margin. I don't believe that that's true. Health Canada is using numbers around $7.60 to $7.80 per gram. And if a patient is using a gram a day, that works out to somewhere, I think it's $2,800 a year in revenue per patient at 1 gram per patient per day. Seems like a lot of money, but then you realize that many people spend $1,500 to $2,000 a year at Starbucks, buying one $5 cup of coffee 5 days a week. And most people spend, in Canada, the average price for auto insurance is about $2,500 or a little more for auto insurance. So actually, when you start thinking about it, $2,800 for medical marijuana, especially for someone who needs it, is really not a lot of money. Lots of growth. Last year, 64% growth. It's estimated that in Canada and the United States, it'll be a $10 billion industry in 5 years. There's more medical marijuana dispensaries in downtown Denver than there are Starbucks. That's how quickly it's changing. And the state of Colorado, according to what I'm reading in the press, is now generating more tax revenue for the state from marijuana than they are from taxing alcohol. And most of you are old enough to understand how government works, and there is no way that governments around North America are going to allow that revenue stream to pass them by. So the expectation is that states and the nation of America and Canada are going to legalize this and tax the heck out of it. Let's talk about us for a minute. We signed a joint venture with Enertopia. They have 51% control. We have 49. It's a 75,000 foot facility. About 30,000 feet of that is going into our design build phase as we speak. We're really excited about this. This is a big deal. I don't know how much space Tweed has actually in production. They could answer that, and I can't. But I know that it's not 100,000 feet. I suspect it's somewhere around 20 or 25, maybe it's 35. I don't know, 1,000. Which would mean that our facility that we put into production this year would be roughly comparable to theirs. We're awaiting municipal approval, and of course, we do not have a license. So that's something we're working on. We've been listed in Canada for 5 years. So we've been here a long time. We are a Nevada corporation. I mention that because in the United States, if you're not aware of it, if one of the companies you're interested in investing in is telling you that they are a BC corporation and they are, let's say, take an example, let's say they're going to buy a controlling interest perhaps in a Colorado grower. I will tell you that unless they've got some tax and legal advice that is not available to us, that's impossible. Because Colorado and Washington and most of the individual U.S. states have residency requirements for those who own production facilities. So a BC corporation could not get into a controlling ownership position of a U.S. medical marijuana facility, to the best of my knowledge, and I'm corrected if I'm wrong. We are a Nevada Corp with a Vancouver office, a Kelowna office, an Ontario facility. We comply with SEC, Canadian OSC, and DCSC regulations, of course. But because we're a Nevada Corp, we are a domestic corporation for the state of Nevada. You might logically think that we are interested in developing facilities in the state of Nevada. Some people have had discussions with ranking politicians in the state of Nevada, and those politicians have made it clear that they want Nevada to be legalizing marijuana for recreational as well as medical use by 2016, the federal election. And there has been discussion that the state of Nevada, we all know why people go to Nevada, that the alcohol consumption in the state of Nevada is higher than alcohol consumption in any other state in America. Some people say it's as much as or even more than the rest of the country put together. Obviously, if they legalize marijuana, the metrics there will be similar. So having an operation in that state could be really interesting. We are looking at having operations both in Canada and the United States. We do not have any operations in the United States today, so there's my disclaimer. We're looking at it. What are we doing? Well, we're building out the Ontario facility. That's underway. So you should look to see news from us over the months and quarters to come about the progress of that facility. I'm going to make a point here that if I get yanked off the stage, this is one point I want you to keep in your mind. There's a number of business plans out there. A lot of them are really good. There's a lot of good people in the industry already. Having said that, there's a flaw, in my opinion, in many of those plans. And here's how it goes. The growing of medical marijuana is a tough business. The old licensing did not require much, if any, in the way of testing. And the testing procedures that were underway were much more relaxed than the testing procedures under the MMPR system. Under the MMPR, you're not allowed to have more than parts per billion of certain contaminants and different things in your product. And those companies who have only a single facility run the risk, if they have a mold, a fungus, a mildew, a spider problem, if they have one light, a big facility, 100,000 feet facility might have thousands of grow lights. If one of those lights malfunctions and maybe burns an electrical wire, and that toxic fume gets into the HVAC and distributed, I don't know, but it might be enough to contaminate a crop. If you have a disgruntled employee who maybe gets around some of the security protocols, your license could be at risk. If you have a municipal election 4 years down the road and you have a single facility, and the new incoming government says, we don't want that here anymore, you as investors are exposed to catastrophic loss if there's only a single facility. LEXARIA has a facility underway. We are in negotiations on additional facilities, and our sister company, Enertopia, has 3 facilities underway. So I want you to be aware that in your investment plans, it's not just about, I used to say this all the time, it's not just about how much money you can make, it's about how much money you could lose. And you need, in my opinion, to invest in companies that have more than one facility to help mitigate your risk of losing money. And I think that's a very, very key characteristic. I know them all the time. Multiple licenses. We're raising some money. We've already announced that. So that's nothing new. That's who we are. Come see me at the booth. I'm at booth number 7. Thank you.
Very comprehensive.